We're standing by with Aaron McKie, former player and assistant coach for the 76ers. Aaron, what's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. How's everything?
Everything's good. Everything's good. And so what are you up to right now? Recently, one of the assistant coaches with the 76ers. What's kind of next in line? What are you looking to do?
Well, I want to continue to coach. I love the game. I enjoy being around it. And I like to share the knowledge that I got from a lot of the great coaches I played for. I like to share it with a lot of the young guys that's coming up now.
Now, obviously, there's a lot of turnover in Philadelphia. Were you hoping to be considered, or were you hoping to maybe get the head coaching job out in Philadelphia?
Nah, I don't assume because they never called me in or never told my agent that they were going to bring me in for an interview. A lot of it was speculation, but I do have aspirations of being a head coach at some point in my life. Just unfortunately, it didn't happen for me here in Philadelphia, which is my hometown. But I understand how this business works. So it cuts down on a lot of heartbreak and a lot of heartache by assuming they should keep me on as a coach because I'm from this area, I played here, blah blah blah. But I'm okay, and I wish those guys well and hope they're able to turn things around.
Okay, speaking of that, man, how did it feel like to play high school ball there? Because I watched you play there at Simon Grass. I watched you play with Temple. We played together. Then you played for the Sixers. You had a couple of other stops before you got to Philly. But I know it must have felt extremely gratifying, man, to be like a hometown hero and get to play every level of basketball there. Can you take me into that? How you felt about it? The steps you took? How excited it was to be like a Philadelphia hero?
It was great. Those are things that you dream of. You never really, as you start to progress in your career from high school to college and so forth, you never think you'll get the opportunity to play and play at a high level in front of your hometown. And I'm one of the rare guys that got the opportunity to do that. It's tough at times because you got ticket demands, you got people trying to pull you all over the place, and you have your professional business that you have to take care of, and you have to be focused and concentrate on the things that you need to do. And I think I did a pretty good job of being able to put my arms around that stuff and be able to, just be in control where, people don't have me spread out and stressed out trying to do so many things. So I really enjoyed it. It was a dream come true for me.
And now being able to play with the 76ers, you also got to play with a pretty big-name guy in Allen Iverson, who turned out to be an incredible talent. He's pretty much calling it a career. What are your thoughts on Allen Iverson and being able to play with him?
It was great. I think he was a dynamo. A lot of people don't give him credit for his ability to think the game. You look at the athletic part of it and the things he was able to do for his size, being 6 foot, going there, throw his body around, score, finish at the basket, play at a high energy level night in and night out. And he never really got the credit for the way he was able to, think the game. I know there were times that we could be down 20 points in the game, and it could be the third quarter or the fourth quarter, and you could always look at him and say, "Come on, guys, we're gonna win this game." He'd look you dead in the eyes and say, "We're gonna win this game," and that's huge. When your best player always feel like you got a chance to win a game, it injects life into your body.
Right.
Do you think he gets his jersey retired one day out in Philly?
Oh, absolutely. They don't retire that jersey, then there's something wrong with that.
Then nobody gets their jersey retired.
To me, behind Michael Jordan, Dr. J, and those guys transcended the game. He transcended the game. He brought the little guard back in the game, and not to take anything away from Nate Archibald, anything like that, because Nate Archibald did it before AI did it, but he transcended the game. And when I say that, I'm talking in terms of swag, playing with the braids, the tattoos, and it allowed people to feel free and be themselves out on the court.
Yeah. Definitely. And now, look, Allen had a lot of negative news surrounding him throughout his career, and you being his teammate, what was Allen really like? I know the media eats up a lot of stuff. Is there anything that stands out in your mind that was, like just a really good memory between the two of you or him personally?
Well, I always tell him this: his biggest downfall is his heart. He has a huge heart, and just what I touched on in playing for my hometown, where you got family and friends and all kinds of people pulling you in different directions. He never understood how to say no, and that's something that is a blessing for you, where you're able to help people out and you're able to be there for them. But when you get stretched out too much, kind of takes your focus off of the things that you really need to be concentrating on. And that's one of the things I think, and to this day, he still has a huge heart and he tries to be there for everybody. And, people can look at it the way they want to look at it and say, say the negative things that they want about him. But me, know him personally and on the inside, he has a huge heart and he's very sensitive.
Yeah.
Now, you obviously, with Allen, when he was there, you guys had a lot of success in Philadelphia. You also had a lot of hard times there. And as a coach now, Philadelphia, last season they make this big trade for Andrew Bynum, and then he ends up not even playing. How difficult was it last season to almost gut the roster and really trade away a lot of assets for one guy and he doesn't even play? How difficult was that season?
We still had to go out and compete. Because at the end of the day, we got a saying, the other team don't care. No. So you still got to go out there and compete. That's why you have a rotation and you have substitutes, and the next guy got to be ready to go. Yeah. So unfortunately, it wasn't just Andrew. We had a lot of injuries. We had a lot of guys that was banged up that we were expecting to perform for us, and they weren't able to play. But that's the nature of the business, and we understand that. And like I said, the other teams can care less about if a guy don't play a game. They're trying to get the win because there ain't no pictures on that stat sheet at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Right. I think the trade also, it was a little confusing, especially when, you kind of commit to Andrew Bynum. You're committing to a guy who has a lot of injury problems, and you would think they'd at least give him 2 years. The fact that they didn't re-sign them, I know they want to rebuild and all that, but they gave away a lot of good pieces in that deal. The Magic, to me, the Magic made out like bandits because Iguodala, he's not with the Nuggets, Bynum's not with Philly, and Dwight Howard's not with the Lakers, and they got all this young talent. And I think, everyone was knocking them for getting, the bad end of this deal, but I think they made out like bandits. And now the Sixers, they could have still had Iguodala, they could have still had Vucevic, the center, who had an unbelievable year last year for Orlando, and they could have had Mo Harkless, and then you just add to that this season. I'm just kind of surprised of the moves that Philly's been making. Obviously Charles Barkley came out. He was defending the Sixers, defending you guys, and it's kind of confusing time in Philadelphia.
Think about it. You make a move to try to get a game-changing player,
right?
And it didn't work out. Now you could go into a lot of different conversations, but until those guys in Orlando start to produce, and it's still up in the air.
Right.
Because, we always sit up and we talk about young talent. Well, we're waiting for those guys to start turning over and producing. And when they start turning over and producing and becoming studs in the league, then we can revisit the conversation and say, yeah, they made out like bandits. But until then, you just don't know.
Right.
You don't know. And I think Philadelphia took a calculated risk and said, hey, we know this guy got injury issues. We feel like if we can get him and he could be somewhat healthy for us, then we got a pretty good chance of being one of the elite teams in the East. And that's the way everybody looked at it. In hindsight, I guess if you had to revisit it and do it all over again, I'm quite sure 70% of the people would do it again.
Yeah.
Nobody had no idea that he wasn't going to be able to play one game.
Yeah.
Right.
And he worked his tail off to try to do that.
Yeah. Do you think the mentality of players are different now? I feel the same way since me and you are both coaches.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's different. Me and you played with coaches like, Larry, both played for Larry Brown. We both played for John Chaney, and we both know that it's hard. Everybody can't play for those type of coaches. Do you think now, you seeing the coaching carousel, coaches getting fired, staffs getting fired, and then players are coming in and kind of like putting in their demands, do you think it's like a changing of the guards, or do you think it's like a different mentality of players these days?
I think a lot of these players come in and they feel entitled.
Yeah.
And it's twofold. I think, one, it's unfair to them when you come in at 20, 21 years old and they asking you to change the face of the franchise, be the face of the franchise, and be the leader. You know, Bud Strick, when we came out, it was different. We had 10-year vets that was the leaders. They was married with families and all that kind of stuff. So I think on that part of it, it's unfair to these young guys to ask them to be leaders after a year or two of college. Now, on the flip side, these guys don't, you know, as soon as something go wrong, you know, they're quick to point the finger and say, is this guy fault or that guy fault. I think the concept of AAU is great. Yeah. But I think it takes away a lot from the game. I think it takes a lot away from these guys' character, because they always feel like, okay, if it's not going well here with this team, I always get jumped to another team. And that's the mentality that they bring to the NBA. Instead of pushing through and say, I'm going to work my tail off and be a good individual player and be a good team player.
Yeah.
And now, talk about leadership. Actually, last year in Philadelphia, it kind of seemed like the leader on the team was really Drew Holiday, and he had an unbelievable year. Now he's with the Pelicans. Do you think this guy could be a top 5, top 3 point guard in the league anytime? Or what's your thoughts on Drew and working with him?
Oh, I definitely think that. From day one, when I've been around him since he stepped foot in the NBA, I think one of the things that he has is he's a gym rat. He loves to get in the gym. He loves to work. He's a student of the game. You know, he loves to study the game and watch different players and stuff like that. And he's young. He's 21 years old. You know, he just got married, comes from a great family. And I think, for starters, if you could get guys that love to get in the gym and work, then you got a good canvas to build a pretty good player if they're willing to listen and they're willing to work.
Drew Holiday, you know, great season. He's only 4 years in the league, and he just had an unbelievable breakout year last season, 17 points, 8 assists per game. He has a long way to go. I really wanted to ask you, you were in the league a long time. What memory sticks out in your mind from playing all those years? Do you have like one instance where you can go back and say, man, this was like my defining moment of my career, or this is a moment that I'll always keep with? Anything like that?
I think the year when I was with the Sixers, we weren't sure about ourselves. I got traded, and we wasn't going to make the playoffs. But the rest of that season, we felt like we could play spoilers, and it gave us an opportunity to figure out who we were. And then going into that next season, we were so confident and feeling like we could compete and beat anybody. I think that's what things turned around for us, because I don't think anybody looked at us as being a real threat or really good team. And from that second half of that year that I got traded to the team, moving forward, we became a pretty close-knit team and a really competitive team out on the court.
Now, Aaron, every NBA fan knows you had a great, solid career in the league. And aside from the basketball part of your life, you got kids, you play the dad role. What are some things you like to do also, though, in your spare time? You have any hobbies or anything like that?
Golf.
Golf. They all say golf.
Love it. Well, it's low impact. You can't go out here and get yourself hurt. You know what I mean? And it's competitive. I mean, it takes up those competitive juices that you had in you when you competed as a basketball player. So, I mean, there's so many different aspects of golf that you have to learn. So, you know, if you're competitive, then you'll take to this like a fish to water.
Yeah.
Well, man, I just want to tell you, man, I'm proud of you, man. Me and you came from, you know, I've been knowing you since we were kids, basically, man, and seeing where you came from in Philly and seeing your career, man, and you being one of my young boys at Temple, man, and us going to war together every night, and to see where a lot of us guys, man, that played during that era at Temple have ended up, and we're all coaching now and successful, and we still talk. And we still hang out and we still help each other out when something is needed, man. I just want to let you know personally that I'm proud of you and what you did, man, because I saw it from the beginning.
Yeah, thanks, Trick. Likewise, man. Keep pushing.
Ain't no thing.
Keep pushing.
All right, Aaron, it's been great having you with us, and we really appreciate you checking in with TalkinHoops.com and wish you the best of luck going forward, and hopefully we can catch up with you later on in the season.
All right, absolutely, man.
All right.
Appreciate it, Blue.
All right, guys.
Thanks, sir.
All right, no doubt.
All
All
right.
right.